All right, thanks for joining, guys. Today we're going to be going over a client's report and that has a bankruptcy, and we're just going to go through it. This is going to be round 2 for us since the credit bureaus have not even done anything. There's no updates. The client hasn't even received anything back in the mail. So it's just been not enough time. Sometimes, by the time we mail things out, the credit bureaus receive it. They go off a 30-day period. And a lot of times it's 30 business days, which can end up being 45 days. So it just hasn't quite been enough time for this client. So we're going to go ahead and move forward with round 2. And I'm going to share with you guys how this is done. I am having a mentorship starting March 1st, where I'm actually going to be teaching people how to start their credit repair business, how to incorporate Credit Repair Cloud in their credit repair business. So that way you can automate a lot of what you do. A lot of what you do is repetitive. It's data entry. Why enter the data? You can have the client enter all the data and just have the data transferred where you need it to go. So this here is a client's credit report that has been imported. You won't see the account information for privacy purposes, but client does have several bankruptcies listed on the credit report. Now you'll see here the information that has imported into Credit Repair Cloud from the Smart Credit report. Now I do use Smart Credit because I have less issues with it. When I used Identity IQ, I always got errors. It was not very user friendly. So for those of you that like less issues, Smart Credit is the way to go. They are a Vantage score as well. Identity IQ is really no different than Smart Credit because they both provide the Vantage 3.0 scoring model, and Smart Credit actually pays a lot more than Identity IQ. So if you do want to sign up to be an affiliate with Smart Credit, use my link below. I'll send you over to my people over there. They'll take good care of you and make sure that you let them know Nicole Scott sent you. So if you haven't by now, make sure that you like, subscribe to my channel, comment. It helps this get out to more people that I can help, because we all know some of the training videos that are out there just don't provide enough hands-on experience when it comes to credit repair and disputing things off of the credit report. Everyone makes it seem like it's so easy and it just falls off, but there are steps that you have to go through. So we're going to go through those steps today. Make sure you watch through the entire video and share it with a friend. Okay. So in the dispute items category where you have the bankruptcy listed, one of the tricks that you need to pay attention to is you need to take the account number that is listed right here, and you need to put account number and paste in the account number right there, because this is going to list out the account number automatically. So you're going to be able to automate the account number that is already listed on the credit report, because if you don't add the account number in, it will not populate properly with the way that we have our letters organized. Okay, so we will always want the account number to populate on our letters so you don't have to paste it in. So one thing that you do need to keep in mind as well, when you are working with a client who has a bankruptcy, you need to get the bankruptcy court address so you can send the court a letter asking them to provide proof. I use Microsoft Word, and you can use it kind of as your canvas, because if you watch any of my other videos, you know the exhibits are very important, and the exhibits are the proof. Anything that you have that can prove it. It can be a screenshot. It could be a letter from the court. It can be a letter from the creditor. Anything that you have that can further prove your case to be true and accurate. So we just re-imported this client's credit report today. Okay. Their credit report would not populate on Equifax, which is a very common problem with Smart Credit and other credit monitoring places out there if the address for the client does not match. So if the address on the credit reporting agency does not match the address with the credit monitoring company, that can make their databases clash, and therefore you're not going to get the report because they can't verify your identity based on the addresses not matching up. And it can be something as simple as apartment number, or the zip code wrong, or a misspelling or something of that nature. But you always want to verify the address is correct on your credit report. That's the first thing that you need to do. So what I did earlier for this client, just to kind of get it out of the way, was I did her personal information letters. And with personal information letters, you always want to make sure that you ask them to correct the first name, the last name. Okay, there's one name. Okay, there's one address. So whatever their current address is, make sure it's listed. And if their employers are inaccurate or there's any other inaccurate information like date of birth, then you want to make sure that you correct all of that information first and foremost. Now, some people say, freezing the third-party credit bureaus is a must. And I would say it is when it comes to bankruptcies. I know the secondary bureaus are the ones that report it to at least Equifax. And then there's another company besides LexisNexis that reports to Experian and TransUnion. Did you hear me right? Yes, there's another company that reports bankruptcy information. So we'll get to that in a little bit. So make sure you stay tuned. But in regards to, LexisNexis, we're going to dispute it with them anyways. So in my opinion, there's no real reason to have to lock it or freeze it because we're going to dispute the information off with them first and foremost. So again, we're dealing with the credit bureau and we're also dealing with the person who reported the information to the credit bureaus. And in this case, we know the courts didn't do it. So we know it's a third-party company that collects data, a data reporting company. So in my opinion, freezing those secondary bureaus did not really make too much of a difference because if you know where the source is coming from, you can always dispute it with them, get the proof back from them that they made a mistake, they deleted it, and they've updated the credit bureaus. That's really the best way to go about it. So let's go ahead and get this party started. So what I'm going to do first and foremost is just kind of go over some of the updates here with you guys. So in the first month, the credit went from a 565 to a 585 on TransUnion. On Experian, we went up over 70 points. So from a 548 to a 624. And mind you, this was not even from anything being deleted. This was simply us adding positive items to the credit report that helped the credit score go up. So now the client is happy because what happened was their credit score went up. Nothing was deleted because we haven't had enough time. And unfortunately, time is something we just can't control when it comes to the credit bureaus. So since it is such a time sensitive for a lot of people and it does take a long time for the credit bureaus to respond, something that you can be doing to help raise the credit score in between time is adding the client to trade lines, having them add trade lines, building positive credit. If you have some trade lines that you can possibly add your clients to that have, even a couple years worth of history, that's going to help them out as well. So let's get straight to it. So we're going to go ahead and hit Run Dispute Wizard, and we're going to go ahead and click number 3 where create dispute letters. And mind you, these are all tabs at the top here. So this is the client dashboard if where you wanted to go back. This is where you would import. This is where you can also send a new credit analysis to the client, just like you did when they first signed up, hopefully. This is the pending report tab right here. It says number 2. So number 1 is the import audit. Number 2 is the pending report. So even if you go over to the number 1 tab here, you'll see this is where you can re-import the credit report. This is where you can have the client's access details. Now, mind you, you cannot change report providers once they're in there. Okay. Do not try to go from Identity IQ to Smart Credit because it's not going to work. What you have to do is create a whole new profile for the client and you got to start all over as if it's a new client. So it can get tricky. If they already have a provider, just keep them with that provider and just use the new provider moving forward. But the simple audit is over here, this gray tab. So this is actually another tab. So when you click on that simple audit tab, this is where you can actually create the credit analysis. So this is the credit analysis that I sent the client when they first signed up. So you can actually view it, you can edit it, not that you would want to. I don't recommend deleting them, but you can definitely view it where you can download it and send it to the client. And then you can also send them another one. So what I like to do a lot of times is, send the client an update. And you can generate what I've done is I have added in my company tab, I've added another audit that's similar to the initial one, but just less verbiage, straight to the point, just the most important things. And that's the re-import one right here. So then I can click generate simple audit. And here we go. Now this audit is now generated for the client and they can tell what their credit scores are, what they have left. Okay. And we can go from there. So as you can see, the client has no inquiries with Experian anymore. We got all those knocked off, but for whatever reason, it did not populate that on our report. But the client definitely did have some inquiries on Experian, but now there's none. So that's good. It kind of just shows the client some of the information. So yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so that's how you do that. And then if you wanted to email it to the client, you would just hit email audit to client. And then you can also download it if for whatever reason you wanted to download it. I don't recommend printing it because you want to save paper. And then when you're done, what you're going to do is you can either hit the back button if you don't want to go forward, but you can hit the next button. This is tab 2 that we're on. So now once we're in tab 3, these are some of the different options, but you don't really need to order the credit history report. We already have that. Okay. Review the credit history report. No, we don't really need to review anything because all of our items are pretty much already tagged from when we re-imported it. We're just now focused on creating the dispute letters. So we're going to hit number 3, create dispute letters. And we always want to hit round 2 or higher, round 2 or higher. And notice this is A, right? So down here it says, who is this letter to? This is very important. Who is this letter to? Are you sending it to the credit bureaus or are you sending it to the creditor or the data furnisher who reported the item? Okay, it's very important that you send it to both. Okay, attack it from both ends. You have to be aggressive. Okay, so now what you're going to do is you're going to hit previously saved pending items, and that's going to bring up all of the pending items that you have. But say, for example, the client said, hey, I know that you're working on my credit. I just had something new pop up on my Credit Karma. Can you please dispute it? You can click that add button. And again, I'll go back, add new item, and you can select what credit bureaus you want to add it to. And then you can select a furnisher. If you have the furnisher in there, if you need to add one, you can. This would be who reported it, like the collection company or whoever. The account number if you have one. And then the reason and instruction. And then you would just hit continue. So you can always add things in. That's what's so cool about this software is you have everything saved and keep track of it. So let's go on to B, previously saved items. So this is where all of our stuff is tagged. And I'm going to go through the bankruptcy dispute with you guys as well. So I already did the personal information that you will see is already in dispute. Now we're going to go ahead and select the Chapter 7 bankruptcy. So you can see here, this client has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 items in total. 3 per bureau because we don't have Equifax because something is going on with the address. So we're not able to dispute Equifax for right now until we get the report. It's crazy, but unfortunately, the client wasn't able to answer some of the security questions with Equifax. So we had to send some letters in, and we all know how time consuming that can take with the credit bureaus. So they just don't really listen. But at any rate, that's why we have to just ensure that we are the consistent, persistent ones on behalf of our clients because it's so difficult to deal with. And that's what our clients pay us to do is be persistent, consistent, and to get the job done. Now we're going to go down to choose a letter from the library. We always want to check expert mode. And then I'm going to hit credit bureau letters. So I have custom letters uploaded to each of these sections. Credit bureau letters, creditor letters, collections, all those, you want to have custom letters. You don't want to use the same verbiage that Credit Repair Cloud and everyone else who uses this software is using. Because what do you think happens? If you're using the same letter that all these millions of other credit heroes are using, don't you think the credit bureaus are going to catch on and know where the letter originated from? Yes, of course. So to prevent that, we want to rewrite our own custom letters in our way so they are real from a real human. Less is better, especially round 1 and round 2. So round 1 is just a simple validation of debt. Round 2, prove it. Okay. Round 3, you can base things on factual disputing. Hey, this data last activity is wrong. This is wrong. Whatever is wrong. Showing proof by contacting the creditor. Showing proof by sending a screenshot of the credit report. You gotta get creative, okay? So anyways, back to this. I have a custom letter and all these are A1s. See what happens when you label your dispute letters in the A, they show up at the top search. So I only have a few letters that we use. Method of verification, validation, all of these are our go-to letters. We have some other letters that we use, but these are our go-to guys and they work. And that's what it's all about, is getting those core group of letters that work for you and being able to, make them your own. You don't use word for word someone else's letter. You can go into apps like spinbot.com, and you can word spin the letter, or you can just rewrite it in your own words. That's the great thing about it. You can always copy verbiage from the law. And that's what I do recommend. And if you haven't gotten my ebook about the FCRA, I have an ebook on my website, therealnicolescott.com, and it has all of the main parts of the FCRA. And it's a really good ebook that explains, some of the key points. If you don't really like to read, this has all the interactive links that take you directly to the Cornell Law website in that exact portion of the law. So you can actually read it yourself. You can copy it. You can paste it into dispute letters, so you can make custom dispute letters based on the law, based on facts. Okay. And that's the best way. So with this, I have the BK to CRA, and I just updated this letter. So I always send it to the fraud department because they are the ones that actually have the ability to investigate and to remove things. Fraud can be used in a very different context. So we're not saying that we're a victim of fraud, but we are saying that the data listed on our credit report is in fact fraudulent. That is a form of fraud. If you are listing fraudulent data on my credit report, that is a form of fraud. There is only one accurate answer, and it is not my job to tell you what that accurate answer is. It's your job to make sure that the answer is the correct one. And if the credit bureaus update it to all correct data, then at that point, you might just be SOL, because if you don't have a reason to dispute it after a while, they just ignore you. So you just really have to be creative. You have to find cracks in the walls, and you have to be able to really know where to attack. Because once you get that down, data last activity is a very popular one. Once you get that down, it makes your job a lot easier. This just kind of goes into the fact of, like, I found an item on my credit report that is inaccurate. I need to know how you have verified the accuracy of this listing. You recorded it before you recorded it. So I need to know, have you verified the accuracy of this listing before you recorded it? I believe the creditor is unreliable, and this information is recorded in error without any proof whatsoever. Please be advised, I have contacted the following companies associated with this information listed on my consumer credit report. 1. U.S. court on file, who confirmed they do not report court records to the credit bureaus. And so what we're going to do, remember we copied the court address prior? We're going to use that address in here. And we're also going to send them a letter, but we're going to let them know, we're going to let the credit bureaus know, hey, we've contacted the court, because we know the court doesn't report to the credit bureaus. Courts will tell you all day they don't report to the credit bureaus because they don't. 2, LexisNexis has confirmed with me they have contacted you to remove this information, yet you are not responding to the request, which is a violation of the law. I have received so many letters from LexisNexis where they have removed the bankruptcy from the client's report, and then the credit bureaus fail to update it. So we're trying to use that to scare them. But of course, while we're contacting the bureaus, we're also contacting all of these companies as well to get this in writing from them. And then 3, remember, there's 2 companies that verify bankruptcies. Third one is Verisk. And if you haven't heard of Verisk, then you need to do your research on them, because they are becoming a very big player in the game when it comes to reporting data risk management. And that's what their specialty is. And let me just go to their website here. They're also known as LCI Bankruptcy Management Solutions. So this is their website, and you can learn a little bit about them. And there is not a way to freeze your record with them. I have tried with my clients, and I've been told by them that they do not freeze information. It's one of those soft spots where it's like, well, is this illegal? Are you not following the FCRA by not allowing me the ability to freeze my personal private information that you are sharing without my knowledge based on the FCRA. So that's yet to be told, but in my opinion, there's a lot of violations going on here based on them not even offering the option for consumers to opt out of their reporting. So every other company out there, like LexisNexis, will allow you the option to opt out or to freeze your record with them. So this company is not offering that. You can contact them by going to their contact page here, but I have been told by Experian that they are the company reporting bankruptcy information to Experian and to Transunion. Now LexisNexis is reporting information to Equifax. Now, again, I don't know how true this is because this is information I'm getting directly from the credit bureaus, but I have good reason to believe that it is true based on the responses that I've been getting from the credit bureaus. LexisNexis had a data breach. That scared the credit bureaus. So now the credit bureaus are not using LexisNexis. Credit bureaus being Experian and TransUnion, which, is, in my opinion, why they used Verisk Financial now for their data management. But either way, our job is to make sure that we are thorough and that we're doing everything we can to get this information off of our clients' files. So not only are we contacting LexisNexis, but we're also contacting Verisk Financial, also known as LCI. We're also contacting the courts because we want to get a letter back from the courts confirming with us that they do not report such information like bankruptcy information to the credit bureaus. I've even had letters like that and sent them to the credit bureaus and they did not take it off. So it's really a time-consuming process to go through. You just have to keep on fighting until, the client's like, I don't want to pay anymore. I give up. That's really when you have to say, okay, but as long as the client's willing to fight and they know that this takes time, fight for them. Keep on sending letters. Keep on finding cracks in the case. Your job is to be detective and to find the inaccuracies and to get them to listen to you by providing them with proof. Okay. So, I told them, hey, I've confirmed with these companies and they haven't done anything. They haven't been able to confirm. I'm asking your company to legally verify the accuracy of this information reporting and not what your company system says. By publishing this unverified information, you are in violation of the FCRA if no documentation in your files verifies the accuracy of this disputed listing. Please correct as required by Section 611A5A. The law is clear that if a credit reporting agency does not comply with the verification requirements of, this would be USC Code 1681I, not being verified, each account must be deleted or corrected. Now, this is not just me telling you this because I think it might be correct. This is the law. This is the law right here, guys. This is the FCRA law. This is where you can actually look up the code. Cornell.edu is a great website for learning the FCRA. And if you get my FCRA ebook, you'll be able to go to a lot of these links directly, but it'll take you right to where you need to go. So that way there's no guessing your behalf. So with that being said, here it is right here. Requirements relating to the reinsertion of previously deleted material. That could be very important. Okay. Reinvestigation. Okay. That's again important. Description of the reinvestigation procedure. Okay. That's another great place to hang out. Okay. Statement of dispute. Yes. So we're luckily looking for, here we go, right here. Okay. Yeah. This is it. Certification of accuracy of information. If any information is deleted from a consumer's file pursuant to subparagraph A, the information may not be reinserted in the file by the consumer reporting agency unless the person who furnishes the information certifies the information is complete and accurate. Who is the person? unless the person, okay, who is the person? The term person means an individual, partnership, corporation, trust, estate, cooperative, association, government, or governmental subdivision, or agency, or other entity. So that's a lot. Okay, that's a lot. Wow. It gets very deep, So, it's a lot to learning the consumer law. And I don't claim to be any lawyer. I do not give legal advice. This is just for informational purposes only. I just, what I did when I started learning about the law, about the FCRA, about credit repair, I started reading USC Code 1681 because this is it right here. 1681. It goes over all of the credit reporting laws here. So that is a gold mine. So it's not just me saying this. That's actually the law, and the Cornell law would be a great site to go do your research. And again, if you don't have my credit repair ebook, get a copy of it. Go to my website. It is a great deal, and it has a lot of resources right there in the ebook for you. So let's go back to the letter here. So basically now, remember we went back and we edited the account number. See how the account number says account number and it says please delete account. That you can say something as simple as that. Don't feel like you have to over explain yourself. Bankruptcy account information here. The reason why we want the account number out because we want it to populate on some other letters that we're going to do. So now it's kind of duplicated, but I'm okay with that because I feel like that's just us reconfirming what it is. Please investigate and remove these items. Okay. Sometimes you have to reread your letters because you want to make sure that they're always correct. And sometimes it's good to make them all custom, right? Okay. So it just says here, I'm very well versed on the FCRA, FDCPA, and the Truth in Lending, which is the TILA. My legal team is prepared to move forward with litigation should you not comply with the law. And then I just put in some FCRA codes in here about the law. And then I let them know who I would like them to respond to, which is always going to be the client at the address here. And then I let them know who I have CC'd on this matter for the CFPB and all these places, really anybody except for the CFPB, but I have the client actually put in the CFPB complaint because I have been getting notices from the CFPB that we are not allowed to put complaints in on behalf of the client. They don't allow that. So the client would actually have to put in the case. We would actually help the client build their case, provide the client with the proof so that way they can go file the complaint with the CFPB that the credit bureau is not responding. Because it just simply hasn't worked. I've had so many clients that have got a letter back from the CFPB saying, oh, it looks like somebody put a dispute in on your behalf, but it wasn't you, so we're just going to completely ignore it. What's the point of even being there if the company that I hired to help me with my credit can't get a response from the credit bureau, and now you're telling me that you're not going to get a response to them either because it's not me, but I hired them to help me because I just don't have the time. Yeah, I can do it, but I hired an assistant to help me because I don't have the time. So we're kind of like your support team when it comes to the administration work that's required to dispute stuff off of your credit report. So anyways, same letter situation here. It just kind of lists everything out. You just want to make sure it looks good. So I'm going to go ahead and hit save letters, and then I'm just going to put round 2, R2, and then just put BK. And then I change it to round 2, and then I have the BK abbreviation in here, and I'm going to go ahead and save it. Boom, save it. Now the client will get a letter, an email actually saying that we've sent some dispute letters out. Now, before I hit the back button, so we're just going to go back. Now you still have everything listed right here, but we're actually going to send the letters to the creditor/furnisher who reported them. So instead of the credit bureau, we're going to select the next little circle over that says creditor/furnisher who reported the item. We're going to go to the bottom, and instead of our credit bureau letters, we're going to go to the miscellaneous letters. Now I have some letters in my miscellaneous file that go to LexisNexis and that go to Verisk. So we're going to send the letters to them. I'm going to start with LexisNexis, and here is the letter to LexisNexis. And remember I told you before we want to put our account number in there so it would populate properly, and this is exactly what I mean. So you'll see here now that all of this account information is populated, because had we not put the account number there, this account number would never have been populated on these custom letters. So that's exactly why we do that. And now we're going to send this letter. And again, this has the USC code 16814. There's the right to privacy. Okay. Did you know that you have the right to privacy? We've got it right here. 15 U.S. Code 1681, Congressional Findings and Statement of Purpose. This is the accuracy and fairness of credit reporting. And then you want to go down to 4. And it says there is a need to ensure that the consumer reporting agencies exercise their grave responsibilities with fairness, impartially, and a respect for the consumer's right to privacy. There you have it. So this is super, super important. Okay. And then of course, you got B here, which is reasonable procedures. That is very important. So again, we're using the law to show them, hey, we're not just a dummy. We've done our research. We know what we're talking about. You're in the wrong. Okay. So now we're going to go ahead and we're going to save this letter. This is going to be round 2. This is going to be, I just put LN. I make everything simple and abbreviate. So in here, I just put the BK. Save. Now we're going to go back and we're going to do another letter, same letter, but this is going to go to Verisk, which is LCI Financial. Okay. And again, USC Code 1681 A4 is your right to privacy. Okay. So you want to make sure that you are exercising your right as a U.S. citizen, that you have the right to privacy. Okay. It says it in the law. And we are now sending this same letter over to Verisk. So I'm going to put round 2, Verisk 2, and I just you could put LCI. I have that in there as well, just so I can make sure that I send it to them. And then last but not least, we are going to send it to the court. Now, when you are sending a letter to the court, it is important for you to enclose a self-addressed, stamped envelope to the client, so that way they can get the response in the mail from the court. So again, you include an envelope that is addressed to the client and it is from the court. You put a stamp on it, and that way the court can use that self-addressed stamped envelope to send their response to the client. The client would then scan that and email it to you. The client needs to scan everything and email it to your support team or to your support email, okay, or whatever email that you're using for your company to send in the documentation that they're getting from the credit bureaus, the creditors, so on and so forth. Make sure you have everything organized. Make sure you upload all those documents to CRC. Make sure that you keep good record. You have to be organized. There's a lot of paperwork involved in credit repair, and if you're not good with paperwork, this is not the right job for you. You're going to need an administrative assistant, because we don't want to spend all of our time doing dispute letters. But there's a time and a place for that. And sometimes we're just not quite ready. But if you are ready and you have a lot of clients and you need help hiring and training a virtual assistant who would be your administrative assistant, let me know and I can help you find and train a virtual assistant, for as low as $200 a week sometimes. So it just depends how many hours you need and what type of service you need. I help a lot of business owners find virtual assistants for their business, because I have been in business operations for over 15 years and I know what to look for when it comes to hiring people and vetting them and making sure that they're going to be committed and, starting off on the right foot. Okay, so back to business here. This is the Chapter 7 court. So remember, I got my notepad out earlier and I had my court address here. You want to have that on your sheet so that way you can easily go back to it and reference it. So this is actually going to the court, and I put their address right in the letter here, and then put all the case numbers out so that way they can look them up in their system, because different bureaus have different information. And then I just put thank you for your service and what you do in your position. I know your job is challenging, dealing with everyone's demands. With that being said, I need your help. You want to make your letters seem like they're more personable. They're not so cookie cutter. Have some creativeness. You want to be different. How are you going to be different from everyone else out there? That's the question, okay? You have to be able to differentiate yourself from the competition. And the way that you do that is have a custom style, Okay. And make sure that you are doing everything that you can in your power to get your client results. That is, of course, within reason. I'm not saying do anything illegal or anything, but, we want to make sure that we're crossing all of our T's, we're dotting all of our I's. We are taking every step that we can to help our clients in the fastest manner possible. And even though people say only put 5 items on a dispute letter, we want to dispute everything on a credit report, but you can use different dispute letters. You don't have to put all 50 items on one letter. You can break that up and, put a few items per letter, but send a ton of letters to the credit bureau. Okay. So with that being said, we're going to get back into our Credit Repair Cloud bankruptcy removal video. Thank you guys for staying tuned. Make sure, again, if you haven't by now, you like, subscribe, comment to the channel, and let me know how you're liking everything. Let me know if you have any questions. Let me know, if you need coaching. We do have a mentorship starting in March. It will be for 8 weeks where we're going to dive deeper into the Credit Repair Cloud. But I also have one-on-one coaching available. We have single sessions. We have a pack for 8 coaching sessions, which they are 90 minutes long, recorded live on Zoom. So that way I can send you the recording where I help you get your stuff together. I help you get organized and automated and a lot of things set up that are going to help you run your business a lot more smooth. And that's what operation managers do. And that's what I've done my whole career is help small business owners become more efficient so they can grow and scale their business. And now it's time for me to do that for myself with multiple businesses and to help others like yourself who are serious about success, scale and grow your business because you deserve it. You deserve it. You work hard. You're doing the right thing. You're helping people. You're literally changing lives every day. And we just want the most efficient way to do that. And with that being said, we'll get back to work. So we have all of the account numbers listed up here. So it's not really necessary for you to list them all over again, but for the sake of this video, we can. So you can do it the same way. I always like to copy and paste. Now be careful when you are copying, pasting in Credit Repair Cloud, because what it will do is take this off completely and then paste it, and you'll have to repaste it back in. I know that didn't really make too much sense, but it'll delete it, it'll cut it, and nothing will be there. So you have to make sure if you do copy and paste, what you have copied is still there when you paste it into the new spot. Basically, we're just asking them for the following information, just justifying the information reporting and the process you use to verify the listing to the credit bureaus, the name of the courthouse, the person's name contacted, and the phone number with the date contacted, the address and contact of the documentation used for verification. How did you contact each creditor reporting? I was advised you have 15 days from receiving this letter to provide this information requested. I have enclosed a self-addressed and stamped envelope for your convenience. Please send this information to, and then of course that's the client's information. So again, just use your own verbiage, but this is what I put in just to make it seem like, this is a real person. You're dealing with a real person who really needs your help. So I'm going to go ahead and save and hit round 2. And this is going to be the courts. Okay. And this is round 2. And this is going to be the BK. And we're going to have save. So now we have disputed with everyone involved for the Chapter 7 bankruptcy. Now it's pretty much just a waiting game. I'm going to go ahead and exit out of all of these things. Okay. So now we'll start at A. So again, this is round 2 or higher because we always are round 2. Especially even if you're in round 1, you're going to go to round 2 because if you go to round 1, it just doesn't provide you as much information. So round 2, and we're going to select who it's going to, creditor or credit bureau. This is going to be the credit bureau. And if, say, for example, you had disputes for inquiries last time, but the inquiries are still here, you're going to have to manually add those. So as you can see, a lot of these inquiries say already disputed and they're in orange. But notice I haven't even disputed them. They're already in dispute from the first time that we disputed them. So if they're still there, we're going to need to re-dispute them. So what you would need to do is just manually add them in. And I'm not even sure which ones came off because I know there were some that did come off because the client even told me. But I'm just going to go ahead and get most of them disputed here because we want to get as many off of there as possible. Actually, that's the last one. So let me go ahead and find. There's a couple more inquiries. So it's really just, inquiries for this client. She has a couple more accounts that we are going to dispute, but primarily inquiries. So I'm going to go ahead and just select all of those. Now, keep in mind, I normally do not dispute this many inquiries per letters, but I'm going to see how many this is. I only like to go no more than like 7 items per letter. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's cool. 6, we could do 6. And then this is probably way too many. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So what I'm going to have to do is take off Credco, Exeter, Carfax, and Fairway. So I'm going to take mental note of that. And then now there's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that's cool. We can do 7. So what I'm going to do is hit C for choose a letter, go to Credit Bureau Letters, and then we're going to, I have an inquiry letter that I use. I have a couple of different ones. So this says new credit inquiry. And then I also have another credit inquiry removal request. So I think I'm just going to select the normal one here, but honestly, you could put inquiries on a validation letter. You can put inquiries on a prove it letter. If you have a letter that you know that works well, put it on there. All that you're giving is the reason and the instruction, the why and the what. Why are you disputing it and what do you want done about it? It's as simple as that. So I'm going to go ahead and hit credit inquiry removal request. I'm going to hit the next. And sometimes it takes a minute to populate, so don't freak out. Now it has populated everything. And basically it's just saying, I did not authorize this. Again, I put some of the law in there because we want to use the Fair Credit Reporting Act, the FCRA, to our advantage. Okay. And I just double check everything. That looks good. So I'm going to go ahead and hit save. When you are disputing inquiries, you have to make sure that the name of the creditor and the date of the inquiry is listed on the dispute letter. I'm going to say that again because it is so important. If you do not have all of the account information that is required to dispute something, the credit bureaus will ignore you. So again, you must have the full account name that is listed on the credit report. So in this case, if you see COAF, which is usually a Carfax, if you see that listed on the credit report, you need to list the name of the creditor, the full name of the creditor, and the date of the inquiry. You also need to list why you are disputing it and what you want done about it. The why is going to be your reason, and the what is going to be your instruction. What do you want done about it? You need to tell them. Do you want it updated? Do you want it deleted and them confirm in writing that they removed it? How do you want them to respond? Okay, you have to give them very simple yet direct instructions. This is very simple. Not authorized, no permissible purpose or other reason. Delete immediately and confirm in writing. Here is the name. Here is the date. Okay, now inquiries only stay on your credit for 2 years. They only hold value for about 13 months or so, but they look bad. And of course, you have a shopping period that the credit bureaus allow you to have, but it still looks bad. So if you have inquiries that are not tied to open active lines of credit, you need to have them removed. Okay. And that is just it. I'm pretty sure that we saved this, but I just want to make sure that it actually saved. Okay, good. So we're good. So again, if you have inquiries that are not attached to open accounts, then why are they on your credit report? If they're not providing you with any value, they need to be removed. If you didn't get any benefit from, the credit inquiry, why is it still on your credit report? So think about that, and hopefully we can get those off of there and cleaned up. So the last few inquiries that we had let me just take these off real fast because I remember we had few that we had to take off because there was just too many. And it was from some of the bottom ones here. So Exeter, Credco, that's a real popular one. People that are looking to purchase a home usually have a bunch of inquiries from Credco. Those are usually mortgage people or some sort of housing. So these were the 4 that we actually had to get off of there. So we're going to go ahead and dispute those. And 3 will be with TransUnion. And see, the client doesn't even have any inquiries on Experian, but yet there's still this Santander consumer inquiry on the file, but yet it did not populate that there was any deletion. So sometimes, the software is not foolproof. You really have to pay attention to what's really going on. You can't fully depend on software because at the end of the day, this is what the credit bureaus do. And that's why they have so many errors because they depend on a computer system to do all the work, and computers make errors. That's just the bottom line. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to log into the consumer's credit report and let's just verify if this inquiry is there. Okay, so we're logged in the customer's credit report. And if you do see that the customer is client or partnered with a different company, you need to get it transferred over to your company. You should always see your logo up here if you are co-branded with Smart Credit. So this is just something that, pay attention to because you're not getting credit for this client signing up. You want to make sure they're under your company. But when you do log in, you want to go to reports and then 3B reports and scores. And once it's populating, of course, we already said why we can't look at Equifax. There's something going on with them. So the client has tried to reach out, but at any rate, we'll deal with the data that we do have from TransUnion and Experian for now. But to be able to view it in a better format, you want to click switch to classic view. This is going to give you the classic view and give you all of the data that you need side by side in the typical 3B report style. So you can see that we have some open accounts, we have, some derogatory accounts, but what we're primarily looking for right now is just the inquiries. And sure enough, Experian doesn't have any inquiries. There is no inquiries. There is only inquiries left on TransUnion. Again, the audit did not show that we had any deletions. So the credit score went up. The software did not detect any deletions, which is very odd. When you go to dispute items, you can also verify what has been deleted and what has been disputed. So if you go down to inquiries, all of these inquiries are gone. And that would have been nice for us to be able to show the client, okay? But it's not on there. For whatever reason, it did not populate. And sometimes when that happens, what you have to do is you have to go to the main page on Smart Credit and you have to update this information right here. And it says we've already updated it today, but you have to make sure that that populates or else it just is not going to register what has changed, okay? And even if we update it, if we re-import it, let's see if it even populates or calculates the fact that, hey, we did have some deletions. It's saying that it's a duplicate report, okay? So we're going to continue with the duplicate. But yeah, you see, that was a prime example of the software not fully reading everything because it missed the fact that, hey, we had a bunch of inquiries that were on Experian and they got deleted. Now the credit report, we let the credit report update. Okay. We updated the front page on the credit report. Now it's populating the deletions, but unfortunately it does not show the credit score increase. And I had this same situation with another client a few weeks ago where it just did not populate the deletions. And I'm like, you know what? I know I got things deleted for this client and it's just not showing. When you go to the home screen on Smart Credit and you click this little update button, that's where you will see it. So now we show the deletions. So we got 10 items deleted for this client on round one. This was an inquiry. This was an inquiry. Inquiry. Whoo, man. And this was a collection and a charge off. Again, we are saying that the data is fraudulent. The data is fraudulent. Let me go ahead and download this because I just sent the client an update and now I'm going to actually have to send that to the client again and just let her know, hey, I actually have some more updates for you. So we were actually able to get these items removed. So once you download it, I always upload it to the internal notes and I also email it to the client. I do not use the messaging system in CRC because it doesn't work well and I've always had issues with it. So I set up a support email where we communicate with our clients on our email support line. So that works well for us. So go ahead and click continue. Now that we have everything updated, thank God, we want to just make sure everything is correct. So here's an issue. So the address doesn't match. Even the word terrace, it's TE on one bureau and it's TER on another bureau. So something as small as that can throw Equifax off and not allow them to populate the data so you get your credit report. But if you did want to dispute an address, you would just click on the address, click on the address. So since I've already disputed this personal information, I'm just going to leave this alone because I know I've already done it. And sometimes when you add clients to trade lines, previous addresses will show up of the card holder, and that's okay. As long as it's not the current address, you can always remove it after the card has been deemed as inactive or terminated as the status. But while it's active, just leave the address alone because you don't want the credit line to fall off. You don't want to dispute that address and the credit line to fall off. That was nice that we got all those accounts deleted off, or all those inquiries deleted off Experian. Now we want to just do the same thing for TransUnion. So we want to get all these off as well. And I believe we've already disputed all those. So I'm just going to put on here for the reason inquiry not authorized, no permissible purpose. Put the information as fraud if it is, but if it's not really fraud, I don't really like to put that. If the data is fraudulent, that's one thing, but I'm just going to put inquiry, no permissible purpose, or other reason. I usually use that and it works pretty well. Oh, not authorized, no permissible purpose or other reason. And then I put delete immediately and confirm in writing. And then for the reason for the bankruptcy, I change it from time to time, just depending on the situation. So you can point out if the closing date is off, if some of the information is different. But I put FDCPA section 807, violation, misleading, false reporting. You can choose your instructions. So what I'm going to put here is actually, I have so many different reasons, but for this particular section or particular reason, I should say, I am going to put, you can also say it's a mixed file. You can try it that way. Sometimes I've gotten deletions with saying it's a mixed file. So we can add a reason right here, and then we can put violation of consumer's right to privacy. Okay. We want to just stick them where it hurts. Okay. And then we're going to just copy that and we're going to put it on our sheet so we can copy and paste it. That's going to be our pad for us to be able to put our notes and stuff. Okay, we're going to just put please delete account. Simple, that easy. Okay, so I'm going to do this one here and I can just paste in and just please delete account. It can be that simple. Don't feel like you have to write this long ass description. You can literally just put the reason in the instruction and put your name. You don't have to put a bunch of law verbiage the first couple rounds because they don't pay any attention to that most of the time anyways until you have, broke them down and made them validate the information. Because at the end of the day, if they can't prove it, they gotta remove it. That's the motto I go by. If you can't prove it, remove it now, right now. Okay, sometimes it takes a while to get all these reasons in here, but you can always add the reason in for later as well. You just can't add the reason in right now for later. It won't save. On this one, I believe you can save for later, but you can do that under the company tab. If you scroll to the top and go to my company, you can edit your reasons and instructions up there. It's very easy. And everything is customizable pretty much up there. So these are all good. I just verify, when I am looking at credit reports, I look at the utilization and I verify that the utilization looks good. So in this client's case, their utilization on a secured credit card is extremely high. And that's one of the reasons why their credit score is so low. And the client is going to take care of this. But, these are some of the things that clients need to be told. A lot of clients don't realize that just by them using their credit cards, that their credit score is so poor. And that is a lot of the time the reason. People are not educated. This is not taught to us in school. It's not part of our education. And, in the US, and that's sad because everything revolves around credit. But that's why I'm here, and hopefully I can change that. Hopefully by the time my daughter gets to school, credit will be a part of the learning, system. And, maybe even I can go in and teach at the schools. I'd love to do that. I'd love to be able to teach students of all ages about credit and how important it is and how to manage it. But with that being said, we have our first red account. Red means danger, of course. In this case, it means that it's a negative status. If you wanted to change the status, you always could. But in this case, we don't want to. But check it out here. It's not reporting to Experian. It's only reporting to Transunion. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my Smart Credit account and I'm going to take a screenshot of that. Let me go ahead and get a screenshot here. I just use like a free screenshot app and I just take a little screenshot right here, right? And sometimes I'll do some arrows, make it like, okay, here you go. And then boom. How are you, credit company, reporting this? Ask questions. A computer system cannot answer a question. And that's what you need to just keep in mind, okay? So I'm going to copy this and I'm going to put it on our canvas. And I'm going to build my exhibits for my client. Exhibits are important. We are building a case. When they go and submit their claim to the CFPB, these are all things that we need to have them submit. So what we're going to do is put the client's name and exhibit A, or if it's exhibit B, whatever. If it's only one, it's exhibit A. And here's our screenshot. One screenshot per page. Very easy, very straight and to the point. You can circle the inaccuracies. The account number is wrong. Of course, that's not very common, but because some bureaus report the first few numbers, some bureaus report the last few numbers. But again, it could vary. You just want to make sure it's accurate. If the high balance is inaccurate, last verified, sometimes you can get things off based on the date that it was last verified because there's new updates that were not updated. The date of last activity, also known as the DOLA. The DOLA date is very important, and a lot of places will actually re-age your dates so they can keep the account reporting on the credit report longer than the original 7-year time frame that they are allowed to report it. So this is very important because 7 years from the date of last activity will be the amount of time that they can report this account on your credit report. And sometimes if you see the date change, that means that they've re-aged it and you want to just let them know that that's not accurate and that they need to adjust it. And sometimes that will end in a deletion. So the date opened, if that varies from bureau to bureau, of course, there's only one accurate answer. So if you do have information from bureau to bureau that varies, then hey, it's not your job to, verify this information. It's their job to make sure that they are in fact reporting the correct information. This is a good account, so that's good. This is a bad account. This is a repossession. So it's fairly recent. So the data last activity is reporting 12/31 of 2021. So obviously this is a very tricky situation because it's very recent, but there is information that varies from bureau to bureau. So the data last activity is 12/31 here and 12/1 here. The date opened is different. The account status is different. This one says opened. This one says closed. This says dismissed. And this says merchandise was taken back by credit grantor. There may be a balance due. This says 449. This says 0. Last payment is the same, but if that was not the same, that would be another reason why you can dispute it. If the payment status varied, you could just, do it based on anything that varies, really. Only thing that really doesn't matter is like account number. Let's see. Some of the other like basic information like creditor remarks, that can change. That can be different. The account status can be a little bit different, but overall it has to mean the same thing. And then like the term length, that all this stuff has to be correct. Okay. but sometimes like statuses can be a little bit different from bureau to bureau, or account descriptions can be a little bit different from bureau to bureau. Creditor type can be a little bit different from bureau to bureau, but as long as it kind of means the same thing and it's not like a derogatory mark, then it's okay. But in this case, we want to go ahead and take a screenshot of the credit report. So we're going to go up to capture, make sure you get all of this good information up here in the screenshot. And then, so there we go. And we're going to go ahead and, okay, point this stuff out. How is that? And then how is this open, but this is closed? Okay. So we're going to go ahead and take a screenshot of that, and we're going to go put it on our canvas, and we're going to make a new page and paste it on in. You can make it a little bit bigger. You can adjust the size and make it landscape if you need to, so that way it's legible, because again, they are scanning everything that they get in the mail. So you want to make sure everything is big enough for them to, be able to read. And I know sometimes, when you're working in Credit Repair Cloud, when you upload things, they shrink in size. So just make sure by the time it prints that it's legible for the credit bureaus, even if they were to scan it in and it shrunk a little bit more. You just want to, be mindful of these things. Okay. If you send something that you're having a hard time reading, chances are they're not going to be able to read it either. And then what you can do is save this. So save it for the client, and you can just put client's name. Now we have another account here, but this one's, there's nothing derogatory with it. So we're not even going to mess with this because nothing needs to be done. It's paid, it's closed, it's zeroed out. There's no bad blood there. It's all good. The only account that's really left on this client's report is just the bankruptcies, but so far only on Transunion, but it actually was a part of the bankruptcy. So it is showing a zero balance, but the account rating says derogatory. So we just want to get that derogatory word off of there. They could update it. I don't care what they do for the account rating, but the word derogatory needs to come off. And hopefully that just means that they take the entire account off, to be honest with you. And that's pretty much it besides the BKs and the inquiries left on Transunion. So other than that, we're good. And then again, if you guys ever need the creditor contact information, it is at the bottom of the credit report. So maybe if you don't have Credit Repair Cloud, or if you're not using it, you can have all the addresses on your credit report from Smart Credit, and it has all of their contact information here. So if you did need to contact them, their address is here, their telephone number is right here. So if you wanted to send letters out, you totally can. This is something you can totally do yourself. I have a bunch of DIY options on my website, therealnicolescott.com. I have the DIY bankruptcy ebook, which includes the letters that I use. So again, if that's something that you wanted to do, that, hey, I could totally do this, I have the time, why not do it? Here's all the information. It's right here at your fingertips. People hire me because they don't have the time. They don't have the patience. They don't want to do it. It's not because they can't do it. It's just because they don't have the time to do it. And they'd rather just someone that's already doing this stuff. This is what you specialize in. Hey, get this done for me. Because at the end of the day, it's the same process. It's just a matter of staying consistent and persistent. So now that all of our work is saved, we're going to go ahead and hit save my work and continue to the wizard. And this is going to take us to the actual dispute wizard, which again is tab 3. And we're going to go hit in round 2 or higher. We're going to start with the credit bureau. And we already did the bankruptcies, so we're not going to worry about that. But once I started seeing those inquiries, we're actually going to just do the accounts that are left, which is just this one account right here and another one. So we're going to go ahead and hit letter, credit bureau letters. And this one, I'm just going to use a prove it letter because I already sent a dispute and they supposedly already did an investigation. Obviously, it's still there. I don't know if they're still investigating it, but it doesn't even say that it's disputed. And I know that we've disputed it. So I'm going to go ahead and send them a letter and just say, please be advised, I'm in total disagreement with your reasonable investigation. In response to my last letter, you have failed to properly investigate. I have spoken with several phone agents, which I have recorded, confirming you have not completed a reasonable investigation. you have not been able to provide anything supporting any data except for inaccurate information from your computer-generated eOscar system. I'm going to provide one last reminder of the following laws you are required to follow. Again, this 15 USC code. So 15 USC 16, and what the C stands for is code. USC code 1681E, compliance procedures, 1681O, civil liability for negligent non-compliance, 1681N, civil liability for willful non-compliance. So they are willfully non-complying with my request to investigate this situation. And then what I do is you can take the number out. If you're only disputing one thing, again, you don't want it to seem like it's coming from Credit Repair Cloud because the credit bureaus know, and you don't want that. So that's why you want to often put like extra spaces in here, make it all customized, change around the addresses if you have to. Maybe don't always put the client's address at the top. Put the credit bureau's address at the top. Put the client's address at the bottom of the page, right? So let's take this out completely. Be different, okay? Be unique. What separates you from everyone else, okay? So now we put, and then just put please respond, and then here we go. Boom. So now TransUnion letter is a little bit different. It's not your average Credit Repair Cloud letter. This is totally customized. This is totally from a consumer. This is totally, not from Credit Repair Cloud. And what I do is I take these signatures out. Don't ever have the client sign. Just type the name out as the signature. There's no reason to have the client actually physically sign or provide. You can have the e-signature on file, but just type in their name at the bottom. So this is a good customized letter. It's got extra spaces. They can't tell where it came from. I'm going to go ahead and hit save. I'm going to put round 2, and then I'm just going to put creditor's name. So I'll just put creditor, right? Since I'm doing this video, I won't say, but I'll just put it's a creditor letter. And then now we're actually going to send it to the creditor who provided the information. So we're going to hit collection letters, and we're going to do a debt validation letter. And this is the address that I have for this particular company, and I'm just going to verify it. So what I'm going to do is just open up another tab, go to Google. So you could put this, and then even if you put mailing address, that's what we're looking for, their mailing address. So this is it, 691. They have a couple different addresses. We have the 147. If for some reason you say, hey, I don't know which one is their address, then you would probably want to send it to all of the addresses that you can find for that company, because you can never be too certain. So this looks like it's just a Credit Solutions or something. So I'm going to go ahead and hit contact. Okay, so this is their address, the 147 West Railroad. That's their address that we have in system here. So that is actually good. This is another one. So this actually has their email address. If you have limited power of attorney over your client, you can create an email, like a commonly shared email address for your client. So that way you can submit stuff via email on their behalf to different creditors or collection agencies and have communications go to this email address. So that way, you don't have to have access to any of their personal information. It's a shared email that is used for the dispute process. So that is an option as well. It comes in handy, especially if you're helping some students with their student loans. So I've noticed that. Okay, so I'm going to put both of those letters on there. And again, this is just letting them know that each violation can cost them up to $1,000 penalty under the FDCPA, that they are required to prove it or remove it. So I'm going to go ahead and hit save. And then I'm going to put in the name of the company. But before that, I'm going to put round 2. And this is actually a creditor letter. You can call it debt validation letter, creditor letter. It doesn't really matter. Whatever you decide is fine. So now we've sent it to creditor and credit bureau. We're going to exit out of that one, and we're going to go back to our credit bureau letters, hit previously saved items, and we're going to select the other account that is left on here from credit acceptance. Okay, so now we've got that elected. We're going to go ahead and choose a letter from the library. And since it's going to the credit bureaus first, we're going to go ahead and select credit bureau letters. And then again, same thing, prove it letter. You can do a prove it letter. You can do a validation letter. If you want to test it out, you can do one validation letter to one place, and you can do a prove it letter to the other place and see which one works better. You always have to try different things and see what works. Try the A/B method where you're testing, A way, and then you're testing the B way. So you figure out which way is best out of the A/B testing. So we can do method of verification. This is, basically a validations letter, just demanding who they spoke with, how they verified it, how they did this, how they did that. If you don't like the letter, try a different letter, validation letter. Let's try this one. This is like way too long for me. I don't want that. I'm going to actually do the prove it letter because that's one that I actually customly. So again, take the number out because there's only one item here. You don't want them to get confused, especially like when you're sending proof documents. You want to just kind of do like the one item that you're targeting for that particular letter. And I'm going to go ahead and take the client's signature out of there because, again, it's very unlikely that a client would put their digital signature on a letter going to the credit bureau that they're doing, right? Very unlikely. You want to be realistic. You want to think like the credit bureau, okay? Is it likely a client's going to e-sign? No, okay? So just put mail all responses to me at my one and only mailing address of 2+ years. Okay. Again, just being unique, just being different. Okay. Trying different things, seeing, oh, does this work? No, does this work? You have to try little things that are different. You have to be unique. You have to be different. You have to be custom. Okay. Don't be a cookie cutter. Make it very clear. You don't want to make your letter too long either. This is a good letter because it's spaced out. It's easy to read. Okay. And it's not long. It doesn't go on forever and ever talking about all this stuff that they don't even read, nor do they care about. Okay. So now that I have this a little bit more custom, what I can do is just copy this same information and use it on TransUnion. And then I'm going to paste that in. Now you go back to Experian, see what happened. Remember I told you before, when you copy and paste things, sometimes it completely deletes it from the page you copied it from. So prime example, the information was completely cut off of the page. So now what you have to do is just paste it back in. Command V as in Victor is pasting. You can also right click or control click and paste. Okay, this is how you copy, this is how you paste. Right click or control click if you're using an Apple. So now we're in here and everything looks good. Everything is posted or pasted into both of these sheets here. So I'm going to go ahead and hit save. Everything looks good. Hit round 2, and this is going to be for credit. And this is round 2. And then we're just going to you could just hit verification. In this case, I'm actually going to put, this is a creditor. You could put collections. However you want to categorize it is fine. Hit the back button. And before you exit out of there, you want to send this same dispute to the creditor. So you're going to hit Creditor Letters. And we're going to go ahead. Well, there's a couple different options. Some creditor letters are under the creditor's letters, but I also have collection letters under the collection letters. So I have my one debt validation letter, which is a pretty good debt validation letter. It's worked really well in getting collection companies and companies to validate your debt. So I just stick with this when it comes to disputing with all of the creditors. You can also just use a simple, hey, this information is inaccurate. You're reporting inaccurate information. See, I have one that request removal of incorrect info. Now, this is a very simple one as well. And it just kind of says, please note your company is reporting information about me to the credit reporting agencies that is inaccurate and unknown. And I demand that you remove this information immediately. And it just goes on and on and on. And basically saying that they're violating the law and blah, 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 blah. But, that one is very short. I prefer ones that are more aggressive, and that really is like the debt validation letter. So the collections letter, and then again, debt validation letter. This is a custom letter that I did. So if you want access to any of my letters, we have our letter library for sale. But again, you can customize all these letters by building them off of the FCRA ebook. Again, The FCRA ebook is on our website, therealnicolescott.com, and everything is super reasonably priced for you guys to help you guys out, because I'm using all the tools that I use for my clients and I've used for myself to help me come from a 44 credit score to over a 750. So it works. You just have to stay consistent. So now you'll see that this automatically populated to the credit acceptance folks, and you just have to put a little space in there. You want to always verify the address is correct. The addresses do not come in CRC. You have to put them in. So I have a virtual assistant, and when they're finding new addresses, we have them put in to our system. And that's how we get all of our addresses in here. So it says that they have a corporate address here, regular payoff address. And sometimes what you can do is put credit acceptance dispute address. Okay. Credit acceptance. Let's see what it says here. Okay, so here is the credit acceptance dispute address. So it's a whole different address, because many companies, they have so many different addresses. And again, if they have different addresses, just put the different addresses on here. Asking questions. I'm requesting that, yes, I am indeed the party that you're asking. Pay this debt. You have basically prove it or remove it. Bottom line, prove it or remove it. So we're going to go ahead and hit save. This is round 2, and this is going to be for credit acceptance, creditor letter in round 2. And this is going to be for a creditor. Save, hit the back button. Now we're done with that. So now let's see what we have left. We're going to go hit the credit bureau, because you always want to start from A and work your way down. Now B, again, we've already disputed the bankruptcies, so those are out of the way. And if you're like me, you just don't want anything in red, you can always, put them in a dispute letter and run them through, so that way there's no confusion, just to confirm that everything is in fact deleted. And we can just do that just to get them out of here for our sake, like, hey, we want to make sure everything is out of the red. So we can just do a simple letter saying credit bureau letter. We can just do a debt validation letter to the credit bureau. Use that one. And then validation, verification, all is like pretty much the same thing. So now that's done. I'm going to hit the back button. And I'm going to exit out of all of those, and then you'll notice they're all disputed now. So now they're all disputed. Everything is disputed except for these 2 inquiries, and we're going to go ahead and dispute those as well. I believe all the other inquiries are done. Yes, they are, because we've already done those. So I'm just going to include these 2 ones that are new from TransUnion, and I'm just going to hit credit bureau letters and credit inquiry removal request. Hit save. Round 2, INQ. That's what I do for inquiry. INQ. Save. Now, when it comes to the inquiries, I don't necessarily dispute inquiries with creditors. If you're going on like round 2 or round 3 with inquiries, then I think it would be appropriate to dispute them with the creditor who reported it to the credit bureaus. But when you're in like round 1 and round 2, typically it's not really necessary for you to dispute the inquiry with the creditor, unless like you've already had a heck of a time getting it off, because a lot of times they'll come off within like 60 or 90 days, especially when you've sent like 2 letters and telling them that you absolutely did not authorize this. Because a lot of times what happens is when you go to the store, they'll ask you, oh, did you want a discount today of 10%? You can get it if you sign up for our store credit card. But, oh, well, there's no hard inquiry with our store credit card. It's just a soft pull. Don't worry about it. And it's really a hard inquiry. Well, that cash register lady or man just lied to you. They said, no, it's a soft inquiry. It's not going to be a hard inquiry. It's literally happened to people all the time. It's happened to me before. It's happened to my clients before. And if they're telling you it's a soft pull versus a hard pull, and if you knew that it was a hard pull, you could have said, no, I don't want that. You did not give permissible purpose for them to give a hard pull. So you have to really, stick up for yourself, because these people out here, they are not your friend. They are not out to help you. They consider the credit bureaus consider us to be the consumer. We are not the credit bureau's clients. The credit bureau's clients are the banks and creditors, the people who pay them. We cost them money. We do not have to pay for disputes. We can dispute things for free with the credit bureaus. And therefore, we are costing them money because they have to pay a staff of people to deal with our malarkey. So, bottom line, they don't care much for us. If it costs them money, they're not with it. But at any rate, guys, that's how you clean the report. That's how you get the bankruptcies disputed. You send in the screenshots. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to go over to my screenshots, my exhibits, okay? And I'm going to print them. And I'm going to send these exhibits with my dispute letters. So I'm just going to print the dates from 2 to 3. So I'm going to have to print, this is 2, so I'm going to have to print page 2, just one copy. And then I'm going to print page 3, page range 3 to 3. I'm going to print 2 copies of that because one's going to TransUnion and one's going to Experian. So now we have those printed. But what we are also going to do is we're going to save this as a PDF. The CFPB wants to see what you have, what exhibits you have, what proof you have, what have you done on your own before we get involved. The CFPB is the company that regulates the credit bureaus. They don't really do a good job. Credit bureaus do a horrible job. And unfortunately, it's up to us to just stay consistent. So just continue to do what you do and help the clients, and eventually it will work, I promise. Sometimes it just takes a while, but there's people out there that have been paying Lexington Law and some of these other companies for years and still have credit scores that are in the dumps. So what I'm going to do is go over to the internal notes now, and I'm going to just make some notes about what I've done for the client, and I'm going to upload the proof documents so we have those on file as a PDF. And I'm just going to put completed disputes to TransUnion and Experian, not able to dispute with Equifax. This is going to be 2/1/22. So tomorrow we're going to actually send some letters via certified mail. I normally don't send letters certified mail unless I get a request to do so or a pressing matter. In this case, it's a pressing matter. So if your clients do want certified mail return receipt, then it is going to be an additional fee. So I charge my clients $25 extra per month if they like their letters sent certified mail. What I do is I will draft all of their letters for them. Okay. All of their letters will be drafted, and then they will be printed, and all of the letters going to Experian will go into one envelope, one big, large, big envelope. So each letter goes into a regular sized envelope, each letter with each set of proof. So I have this one letter. It has no more than 5 to 7 items on it. With that letter, I have a copy of the photo ID. I have a copy of the proof of residency, which is just the client's name and address, especially if the ID address doesn't match. And I have a copy of the client's social security card. Social security card is optional, but it's necessary because a lot of times the credit bureaus will respond saying, oh, we can't verify who you are, blah, 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 blah. BS, if you ask me. Give them everything that they're going to need first and foremost so we can get this party started, okay? So we're giving them photo ID, we're giving them proof of residency, and we're giving them a copy of social, okay? All 3 of those items are going with our dispute letters into one envelope, okay? Now, we might have 10 to 20 different envelopes in our big packet that we send to the credit bureau via certified mail. So now that one packet is being tracked and sent certified mail so we can verify that all of our letters, all 20 of our letters got sent to the credit bureaus, because we don't want to have too many items on one letter, but yet we don't want to take too long to work on someone's file either. We don't want to drag this process on. People have life that they have to get back to. Okay. So we want to get this done as fast as possible for them. So we are disputing with the credit bureau and the creditor from day one. And again, it's your company policy, but in my experience, it takes a while to get everything worked on. Typically, anywhere from 6 to 12 months, depending on how many things there are to do. So with that amount of work, it's going to take even longer if you procrastinate and piece the work out month by month. So, especially if you're having a hard time with some items coming off. So patience are a virtue with credit repair, and a lot of clients just simply don't have the patience, and they'll go try to find someone else who is doing credit to get them the results faster. We don't want that. We want them to stick with you because you have their best interest at heart. And that's what you should be doing this for, is because you, at the end of the day, have the best interest of your client. You are here to support them and to help them reach their goals in the fastest manner possible. So again, guys, my name is Nicole Scott. I really appreciate you guys watching this video to the end. Make sure that you like and subscribe, comment, ask me some questions, check out my website, let me know some feedback, because that helps me understand what you guys want to hear, what you guys need help with. If you feel like you need help with one-on-one coaching, I do provide that to clients who are in the process of starting a credit repair business or who have already started their credit repair business, but just need some help kind of getting it going a little faster and getting some of the automation down and, just getting some of the loose ends tied up. Maybe you need to hire a VA, a virtual assistant, but you really just don't know how. We can get you a virtual assistant very low, and I can show you how to train them so that way we can get everything set up so you don't have to be the one in here doing all the disputes, after a while. Of course, it's always good for you to get back in the trenches and just make sure you still got it. But overall, you can teach this task to somebody else who can duplicate exactly what you have set up in your software. This software is meant for automation. It's meant for you to set up a system that works and that can be easily duplicated for others. Obviously, the same system has worked for years. Don't try to reinvent the wheel. Just try to be a little unique so that way you can get to the goal faster. Thanks for tuning in, guys. I'm Nicole Scott. Take care. Until next time, let's go.